A very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be taking you through the big events that have happened in the last 24 hours that are shaping our world and also what to expect in the day ahead. But let us start with the headlines. Mental Health Care Bill 2016 passed in Lok Sabha. Bill decriminalizes suicide attempt by mentally ill people. Prime Minister to chair a full council meet. Review of a GST bill top on agenda. Flagship schemes and development initiatives to be discussed. Social welfare scheme benefits cannot be denied to those without Aadhaar cards. Rules the Supreme Court. Refuses to grant early hearing in Aadhaar case. India looked to reclaim Border Gavaskar Trophy. They are 87 runs away from victory against Australia in Dharamshala. And the 7th India Open Super Series badminton tournament gets underway with the qualifiers today in Delhi. All eyes on Saina Nehwal and PV Sindhu. First up, news from Parliament. Parliament passed the Mental Health Care Bill 2016 on Monday. It was passed by a voice vote in the Lok Sabha after discussion. The bill decriminalizes a suicide attempt by mentally ill people and provides for the right to better health care for people suffering from mental illness. It also has a provision to protect and restore the property rights of the mentally ill people. The Rajya Sabha had passed it in August last year with 134 official amendments. The bill also focuses on community-based treatment and provides for special treatment for women. Health Minister J.P. Nadda described the bill as a progressive legislation that is patient-centric and historic. He said it has been brought after wider consultations with all the stakeholders. Now, around 29 members participated in the discussion, and almost all of them extended their support to the bill in the lower house.
इस बिल में बहुत वाइडर कंसल्टेशन की गई है। इस बिल में सबसे पहले कंसल्टेशंस एट द रीजनल लेवल की गई, फिर कंसल्टेशन एट द सेंट्रल लेवल की गई, स्टेक होल्डर्स के साथ कंसल्टेशन की गई और स्टेक होल्डर्स के साथ कंसल्टेशन करने के बाद यह स्टैंडिंग कमिटी, डिपार्टमेंट रिलेटेड स्टैंडिंग कमिटी में गया और स्टैंडिंग कमिटी में भी बहुत चर्चा होने के बाद राज्यसभा में बहुत से अमेंडमेंट्स के साथ आया और सारे अमेंडमेंट्स को हम लोगों ने माना। यह बिल की ऐतिहासिक सच्चाई ये भी है कि शायद सबसे ज्यादा अमेंडमेंट्स इस बिल में आए जिनको हम लोगों ने एक्सेप्ट किया और स्टैंडिंग कमिटी के सभी रिकमेंडेशंस को हम लोगों ने एक्सेप्ट किया। श्रीमती टीचर जी वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट कि निम्हांस की तरह, और आपकी तरफ से भी अभी सजेशन आया था कि निम्हांस की तरह कोई हम, आपके सलीम साहब की तरफ से भी आया कि हम उसके बारे में सोचे। वी आर वर्किंग ऑन इट। वी वांट टू सी टू इट दैट इंस्टीट्यूशन शुड ग्रो, और उसके ग्रो करने के लिए निम्हांस को ही मेंटर बना करके वी वांट टू वर्क ऑन इट। वी विल बी वर्किंग ऑन इट। हम आगे बढ़ाना चाहते हैं क्योंकि आवश्यकता बढ़ती जा रही है और टर्शरी हेल्थ केयर में अगर हम एम्स बढ़ा रहे हैं तो निम्हांस जैसे इंस्टीट्यूशंस को भी रेप्लिकेट करने की आवश्यकता होगी। वी आर वर्किंग ऑन इट।
Meanwhile, the opposition members came down heavily on the government on Monday during the discussion of the finance bill in the upper house. A united opposition criticized the amendments brought in by the government to give core powers to the income tax authorities and also making Aadhaar compulsory for filing of income tax returns.
The opposition took on the government in the upper house on Monday during the debate on the finance bill. Initiating the debate, Congress MP Kapil Sibal termed the government's move to bring amendments to the finance bill as an attempt to bypass scrutiny from the upper house. He also raised questions on the amendments in the Companies Act. He found support from other opposition leaders as well.
It seeks to muffle the voice of this house. In this bill, there are provisions which allow the government to snoop into the lives of citizens. Some people in the government may well be experienced in snooping, but this is a very disturbing trend.
this entire creation of a surveillance state, a totalitarian state, through this imposition of this Aadhaar and the control of the Aadhaar number and the personal data is totally violative of the fundamental right to liberty that the Constitution of India provides all citizens. And therefore, this is something that cannot be accepted and will have to be returned to the lower house with our rejection.
साल भर से ऊपर हो गया, कितने अमेंडमेंट आए कंपनी लॉ में सुधार के लिए, क्यों नहीं उस अमेंडमेंट को सदन में रखा गया? अमेंडमेंट के साथ कंपनी लॉ को क्या कंपनी लॉ में कमजोरी थी? कपिल भाई ने बताया क्या तमाम कंपनी में क्या आपने नियम बना दिए, क्या अमेंडमेंट कर दिए? इनकम टैक्स में आप सारी पावर इनकम टैक्स के अधिकारियों को देते चले जा रहे हैं, चाहे जिसका घर रेड कर दे, चाहे जिसका घर सीज कर दे, चाहे जिसके अकाउंट सीज कर दे, ये तो भ्रष्टाचार को बढ़ावा आप दे रहे हैं.
Several opposition members also raised objections on the amendments to the IT Act brought in through the finance bill.
For the removal of doubts, it is hereby declared that the reason to suspect as recorded by the Income Tax Authority under this subsection shall not be disclosed to any person, any authority or the appellate authority. So reason to believe and reason to suspect, the decision of the Income Tax Authority is final and it cannot be questioned. This is against the principles of natural justice.
ये ठीक है, आपके पास एब्सोल्यूट पावर, करप्ट एब्सोल्यूटली, वो पुरानी कहावत है, एब्सोल्यूट मेजॉरिटी है आपके पास, बट एब्सोल्यूट मेजॉरिटी का दुरुपयोग मत करिए. इस तरह से दुरुपयोग अगर आप करेंगे, इतना दुरुपयोग करेंगे कि एब्सोल्यूट मेजॉरिटी को लेकर के आप इस तरह के कानून बनाएंगे जिसमें कि आप लोगों को न्याय में नहीं दिलने देंगे, न्यायालय में नहीं जाने देंगे.
The ruling party members, however, defended the government, saying amendments in the finance bill are to give relief to the middle class.
बेहतर तकनीकी और पारदर्शी सरकार के साथ साथ निर्णयकारी नेतृत्व, डिसीजन लेने वाला जो नेतृत्व है, वो देने का काम हम लोगों ने किया. आयकर में राहत देने का काम जो एक लंबे समय से मांग चली है, वो हमारे माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी ने कराया और इसलिए 2.5 लाख से 5 लाख तक की आय वालों को 10% से घटाकर जो 5% की एक रियायत दी है, वो देश के नए मध्यम वर्ग को ताकत देने का काम किया है.
The discussion on finance bill will continue on Tuesday, after which the finance minister will give his reply. Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Congress also requested the chair to fix a discussion on the Aadhaar-based biometric identification, where it also insisted on expeditiously taking up its substantive motion on the conduct of Governor of Goa in the upper house. Well, the chair asserted that established procedures would be followed to allow the discussions.
Congress MP Digvijay Singh urged the chair for a prompt discussion on his substantive motion under Rule 168 on the conduct of the Governor of Goa. He reminded the ruling dispensation that the UPA government had accepted the demand for a debate by then Leader of Opposition Arun Jaitley on the conduct of the Bihar Governor.
It is the responsibility of your chair, in consultation maybe with the Leader of the House, to fix up a date and time for this. Sir, it is at your recommendation and the acceptance of the MOS Parliamentary Affairs that I was asked to submit a substantive motion. Now I am being asked to change the substantive motion to a short duration discussion, sir, where I can't raise issues on where illegality has been committed. It's a denial of my rights, sir. I will not accept it.
Congress's Jairam Ramesh also asserted that discussion on Aadhaar is also pending.
Sir, what is the fate of my notice under Article 176, Rule 176, for a short duration discussion on Aadhaar, which was listed and which then was delisted on various considerations.
Okay.
So I want to know what is the fate of that. Are we going to have the discussion?
Deputy Chairman PJ Kurian said that time and date for a discussion after a substantive motion is admitted is to be decided in consultation with the Leader of the House. He also said that discussion on Aadhaar is listed for March 29th.
Chairman, let me complete.
Yes, sir.
After considering the state of business in the council and in consultation with the Leader of the council, allot a day or part of a day in consultation.
Sir, it is.
In the recently held assembly elections in Goa, BJP bagged 13 seats, while the Congress was the largest party, bagging 17 seats. The BJP, however, trumped the Congress and cobbled up the number required for majority and subsequently won the floor test in Goa. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And the Supreme Court on Monday clarified that Aadhaar cards cannot be made mandatory by the government for extending benefits of social welfare schemes. Well, but the Apex Court also added that it cannot stop the government from linking the 12-digit identification number to the opening of bank accounts or filing of income tax returns. It also ordered to constitute a 7-judge bench that would authoritatively decide a batch of petitions challenging the Aadhaar scheme on grounds including that it infringes on the right to privacy of citizens. Well, the Supreme Court said it cannot stop the government from doing so, but reiterated its earlier order in August 2015 that Aadhaar cannot be made mandatory for people to derive benefits under the official welfare schemes. Well, 2 months after that order, the court had removed the restriction and had allowed the voluntary use of Aadhaar cards in schemes. Well, last week, responding to the opposition's criticism in Parliament, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has said that Aadhaar may soon become the only card required to identify a person, replacing voter IDs and PAN.
We are not making it mandatory. Nobody will be deprived of benefits only on the ground that he doesn't have Aadhaar. We are also making provision to give Aadhaar. A. B. We are also, in case there is no facility immediately, his application itself is good enough.
And 4 bills aimed at ruling out the much-awaited goods and services tax and usher in landmark tax reforms in the country were tabled in Lok Sabha on Monday by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. However, the opposition parties objected to it, saying the introduction of these measures was not listed in the agenda for the House. Well, these 4 bills will be together taken up for discussion in the Lok Sabha on Wednesday, that is tomorrow.
Madam, I seek move for leave to introduce a bill to make a provision for the levy of...
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Monday introduced 4 bills on the goods and services tax in Lok Sabha, paving the way for the government to launch the landmark tax reform. He introduced the Central GST Bill, Integrated GST Bill, Union Territory GST Bill and the GST Compensation to States Bill.
Madam, the compensation bill. Yes. I seek move for leave to introduce a bill to provide for compensation to the states for loss of revenue arising on account of implementation of the Goods and Services Tax in pursuance of the provisions of the Constitution 101st Amendment Act 2016.
But many opposition members opposed the introduction of the bills, alleging that they were not given enough time to study the proposed legislation. Raising objections, Congress leader K.C. Venugopal said the introduction of these bills was not listed in today's agenda and asserted that parliamentary procedures must be followed while dealing with important issues.
As per Rule 72, notice to oppose introduction of bills shall be addressed to the Secretary General and given by 10 hours on the day on which the motion to leave the introduction. There is a right of the members to give objection to each and every bill introduced by the government.
The centre expects to get Parliament's nod for the 4 bills in the current session scheduled to end on April 12th. It is estimated that rolling out of the GST can add up to 2% to India's economic growth. The government has proposed to launch GST from July 1st. Ravindra Shivran's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And staying with Parliament, well, in response to a supplementary question on the issue of crackdown on slaughterhouses in Uttar Pradesh, well, Commerce Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that only illegal slaughterhouses are being shut down and that there cannot be a difference of opinion on the matter. Well, the Commerce Minister was replying to a question asked by AIMIM MP Asaduddin Owaisi during question hour.
What is being done in Uttar Pradesh is about the illegal slaughterhouses. And in that, I'm sure even the Honourable Member wouldn't want illegal any matter of export, be it meat, be it anything else. We don't want anything happening illegally. And the Chief Minister himself has stated it very clear. He's talking about illegal houses being shut.
Meanwhile, the meat sellers' strike in Uttar Pradesh will continue for the second day today against the statewide crackdown on illegal slaughterhouses. While meat sellers, especially mutton vendors, kept their shops closed on the first day of their indefinite strike, resulting in scarcity of goat meat in several districts. Now, meat sellers' organizations say that the crackdown has created a fear among the traders and even licensed slaughterhouses were being targeted. While UP Health Minister Siddharth Nath Singh, however, reiterated reiterated the government's stand that action was taken only against illegal abattoirs. He said that officials were directed not to act in over-enthusiasm or overstep jurisdiction. Meanwhile, Jharkhand also followed UP's footsteps as it also banned all illegal slaughterhouses in the state on Monday, while the slaughterhouses were given 72 hours to shut their illegal businesses if they failed to obtain license from relevant authorities.
गोश्त हमको नहीं मिल रहा है बड़े का, इसलिए हमारे कारोबारों पे बहुत ज्यादा फर्क पड़ गया है, इसलिए हमने अपनी दुकानें बंद कर दी हैं।
पूजा खाने बंद हो गए, जो अनलीगल है वो तो बंद ही होना थे, ठीक है, लेकिन कोई तो सूरत ऐसी बने कि भाई जिससे छोटे दुकानदारों को तो मीट मिले, जो कारोबार है वो अपना चलता रहे। उससे ये है कि भाई एक दो का तो परिवार है, इसमें कितने परिवार पलते इससे।
योगी साहब देश के लिए लड़े, गोश्त के लिए न लड़े, क्योंकि गोश्त से हम लोग पता नहीं कितने लोग कढ़ाई मची, आप खुद देखने वाले हैं कि बाहर के लोग भूखे मर रहे हैं। 2 दिन दुकान बंद होने से खलबली मच गई है।
ये किसी के विरुद्ध कार्रवाई नहीं है, एक व्यवस्था ठीक से चले उसको हम सुचारू रूप से चलवाना चाहते हैं। हम लोगों के संज्ञान में आया है और न ही कोई आदेश या निर्देश है चिकन या अंडे की दुकानों को बंद करने का। तो कृपा करके इस दिशा में कोई भ्रमित खबरें जो चल रही हैं, सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से भी हम लोगों के बीच में आ रही है, कृपा करके इस पे कोई भी कार्रवाई ना हो और भ्रमित ना हो।
And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. Up next, we have more news, including all the international and sports news. Stay tuned.
Renowned economist Amartya Sen needs no introduction. Recipient of the Nobel Prize for Economics in 1998, Sen has always shown a keen interest in the problems of the underprivileged. He has made immense contributions to the discipline of welfare economics and social choice theory, and his books have been translated into more than 30 languages. In 2010, Amartya Sen was listed among the world's 50 most influential people who matter.
Welcome back. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a meeting with the full Council of Ministers today. Well, during the meeting, progress of different flagship schemes and development initiatives taken by the government are expected to come up for discussion. Well, this would be the first meeting of the full Council after BJP's massive victory in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand Assembly elections. Well, according to an AIR report, a full Council of Ministers is likely to discuss the GST bill as well. Well, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, remember, on Monday introduced in Lok Sabha 4 bills pertaining to the GST. Well, a full day on Wednesday has been kept for discussion on the bills in the Lok Sabha. On to some other news now. Well, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj has sought a report from the Uttar Pradesh government over the attack on few Nigerian students who sustained severe injuries after being assaulted by a group of local residents in Greater Noida. Well, she tweeted, and I quote her now, "I have asked for a report from the government of Uttar Pradesh about the reported attack on African students in Noida," unquote. Remember, as many as 5 Africans were beaten up by locals during a candlelight march for a 17-year-old boy who died on Saturday evening. Well, the locals were protesting the death of a class 12 student who is suspected to have succumbed to drug overdose. Well, according to the police, the deceased boy's family accused the 5 Nigerian neighbors of murder and demanded their arrest. Well, the Nigerian students were booked and later detained in connection with the case, but they were later released due to lack of evidence. Well, over 100 locals held a protest demanding that all Africans living in residential colonies in Greater Noida be asked to vacate their rented houses immediately.
कार्रवाई में हमें कोई किसी तरह का कोई भी कार्रवाई का काम दिखाई नहीं दे रहा। उनको हमने नामदर्ज रिपोर्ट दर्ज होने के बाद भी इन्होंने अरेस्ट करने के बाद में उनको उसी शाम को छोड़ दिया।
Next story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, where in a second such incident in weeks, suspected militants on Monday evening opened fire on the house of two policemen in Jammu and Kashmir's Shopian district. Well, the two policemen, Assistant Sub-Inspector Dilbar Ahmed and Constable Riyaz Ahmed and their family were not injured in the attack. Well, police said that the militants broke some window panes of the houses and the vehicles of the cops before fleeing. But police said that they have cordoned off the area and have launched an organized search to trace the attackers. An Indian Army Chief General Bipin Rawat is in Nepal on an official 4-day visit, during which he is scheduled to call on the country's top leadership and also hold talks on a stepping up of bilateral defence cooperation. Well, General Rawat will meet President Bidya Devi Bhandari, Prime Minister Prachand, Defence Minister Balkrishna Khand and his Nepali counterpart General Rajendra Chetri. Well, according to officials, there will be bilateral talks on the issues related to defence cooperation. Also on the agenda is the purchase of military hardware from India. Well, according to reports, a special function is expected to be organised at the President's office, where President Bidya Devi Bhandari will confer the honorary chief title on Rawat. Well, it may be noted here that the army chiefs of both the countries have a tradition of exchanging their honorary titles to mark their special relations. All right, let's get you some international news. On to developments in Bangladesh, where heavily armed commandos killed 4 Islamist militants, including a woman, who were holed up in a building in Sylhet in northeastern part of the country. Well, the killings come after 4 days of siege that saw powerful blasts claimed by the Islamic State that killed at least 6 people. Well, according to the authorities, Operation Twilight has not ended. Well, the operation is assisted by SWAT and counter-terrorism units. Of the 4 militants, 2 bodies have been handed over to the police, but 2 others are reportedly wired or surrounded by explosives. Well, the slain militants have not been identified as yet. However, officials had earlier indicated that Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh chief Musa could be one of the militants holed up. Well, the military operation was launched after a suicide bomber on Friday night blew himself up at the international airport in Dhaka in an attack which was later claimed by the Islamic State. And US President Donald Trump called Prime Minister Narendra Modi and congratulated him on his recent electoral success. Well, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer said that Trump congratulated Prime Minister Modi on the success in the assembly polls. Well, out of the 5 states that went to the polls, the BJP, remember, formed government in 4 states of Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa and Manipur. It lost out Punjab to the Congress. Well, the elections were being touted as a virtual referendum on Prime Minister's decision to demonetize 500 and 1,000 rupees currency notes. And China has said that its ambitious China-Pakistan economic corridor project will not affect its stand on the Kashmir issue. While defending the $46 billion project, Beijing has said that President Xi Jinping's pet initiative was aimed at improving livelihood of people in the area. While reacting guardedly to a motion tabled in the UK Parliament that condemned Pakistan's arbitrary move to declare the strategic Gilgit-Baltistan region as its 5th province, well, China said that its position on the issue of Kashmir is consistent. Well, the motion introduced in the UK Parliament said that Gilgit-Baltistan has been illegally occupied by Pakistan since 1947 and the country is attempting to annex the already disputed area. Well, Pakistan media reports has said that the move to incorporate Gilgit-Baltistan as a new province after 7 decades of independence followed pressure from China over the disputed status of the 2 areas which formed part of the economic corridor. News from Australia now, where cyclone Debbie, carrying winds of up to 250 kilometers per hour, is battering the Australian islands as it is moving towards the Queensland coast. Well, 1 death has been blamed on the cyclone when a tourist was killed amid the stormy weather on Monday. Well, the Category 4 storm is reportedly leading to property damage, power cuts and huge waves. Well, close to 25,000 people have already been evacuated from Queensland in preparation for the cyclone. Well, authorities said that it would be the area's worst storm since Cyclone Yasi in 2011. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull earlier urged the residents to leave their homes immediately, adding that people should seek shelter on higher grounds. Well, Australia's Bureau of Meteorology said that the storm was gathering strength despite slowing its progress during the night. Well, emergency stockpiles of food and fuel have been set aside, and the army is on standby to deal with the storm's aftermath.
Around 3,500 residents have already been evacuated from the Home Hill area down to Proserpine. In relation to Bowen now, we have extended that, and a further 2,000 residents will be asked to leave. If the police contact you or your local disaster management group contacts you, you must listen to this expert advice.
Now to some sports news now. Well, all eyes will be on Olympic medalists Saina Nehwal and PV Sindhu today as the 7th India Open Super Series badminton tournament gets underway with the qualifiers today in Delhi. Well, the 2015 champion Saina Nehwal will begin her campaign against Lee Xia-sin of Taiwan, while PV Sindhu will take on Liang Xiaoyu in the first round. Both the players are likely to face each other in the quarter-finals if they manage to topple their opponents in the first two rounds. Meanwhile, in the men's draw, Kidambi Srikanth, Ajay Jairam and HS Pranoy will be in action with the Srikanth and Jairam on collision course in the second round itself. And in cricket, India are on course for a victory in the fourth in the final test against Australia in Dharamshala. Well, the hosts need just 87 runs for victory with all the 10 wickets in hand as they resume play on the fourth day at 19 for no loss. Remember, India dominated the proceedings on day 3 as they bundled out Australia for just 137 runs in their second innings, limiting the final target to just 106 runs. Now, spinner Ravindra Jadeja, R. Ashwin and pacer Umesh Yadav picked up 3 wickets each. Earlier, the hosts took a crucial 32 runs lead as they finished their first innings on 332, powered by a half-century from Jadeja. Well, with a victory in the final test, India will reclaim the Border Gavaskar trophy. Well, that's it from the entire Breakfast Bulletin team at the moment. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day ahead.